How does that go?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Angel and Tony Show. Today, we are joined by my good friend, Mr. Javier Villamil.
And my sort of friend.
So, I thought we were cooler than that. I'm in your...
So, we decided to bring this guy on to talk about the evolution of an artist and, like, what the struggle is like to continue pursuing a dream, pursuing what makes you happy, what it's like to fight the death of that inner child that we all have. And we thought that this guy would be a perfect specimen for this because
I like that. The perfect specimen. I love that. But yeah,
he's a grown-ass kid. My first question for you guys is, do you remember what the first thing you ever made was that you were like proud of?
See, that you added that last part.
That you were proud of at the time, not that you were proud of, later. Because like when you're a kid, you make macaroni necklace, you're proud of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the most epic thing you can remember.
The first thing that I was proud of at that moment when I was like, wow, I'm really good at this.
Like something that still resonates with you.
That's
my music video. Easy. My music video that I wrote for Britney Spears at 13.
Damn.
Oh, so the concept.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like she didn't really do it.
You gotta bump it, or else you're gonna just leave me hanging. Like they saw all of that.
What about you, sir?
The first thing that I ever remember making that I was proud of at the time, I don't know. Like I made a lot of shit in my life. I was really proud of my raps when I was way younger. I really wanted to be a rapper, like everyone. That was like one of my first things. I started writing, and I was like, man, I really like the pen, and I started just doing that a whole lot. And I was like, well, gotta.
How old do you think you were at that time?
Man, I was like 15.
So would you say that was like your first intro into music?
Definitely.
Like, was that your first like channel of like artistic expression, like music?
No, I started with like drawing and stuff. Like I really liked just anything to do with like pens and paper for some reason. Like I really liked the writing aspect. But the first thing that I was really doing was trying to, draw a little bit. I'm not good at all.
I was the same way, but I was pretty tight.
You're pretty good. You're pretty tight.
Acknowledge me.
I mean, he is good at drawing, everybody. Acknowledgement.
That was like my first thing I started. Just like I used to really be into drawing like superheroes or like trying to make up my own superheroes. Then I got into like in 5th grade, I got into graffiti. I used to really like making like 3D letters and stuff. And then I just went way left with that.
And then you were really good at you drew that Taz, right?
I used to draw Taz on everything.
That was one of he's really good, guys, for real. And now that I wasn't blessed with that.
No.
Something I wasn't blessed with. I think I have like my uncle. He has saved so much of like my art stuff, and he has like texted to me. I was like, I really thought this was good. Like I'm over here like.
You were proud of it.
But it's bad. Let me see if I can find it. Y'all can carry on.
So what was your first like channel of creation for you?
My first channel?
Like what was your would you say was the one that you felt was your best way to express yourself artistically?
Writing.
What kind of stuff did you write? Besides treatments for Britney Spears.
I mean, well, a lot of poetry. So that's
like how young were you when you started doing that?
Pretty young, I feel like.
Yo, I would have never like pegged you for a poetry writer.
Oh yeah.
For some. I mean, because I know that you're really crafty with cameras and all that. This is her.
She's the quote master now.
Oh,
that's where it comes from, I think.
Okay.
No, totally.
Yeah.
That definitely has a lot to do with it. I like to say a lot by saying less. And I think poetry is a great medium for that because you can take a collection of words and use it to give an audience their chance to interpret it in a way and see like if your intended perspective or like meaning behind something actually carries through in the vessel that you create with poetry.
And the vessels that you create with poetry. Hold on, but to tag on that, I heard something really interesting the other day that I was like, I don't know if we talked about this, but it's, so the word spelling, right?
Spelling. Uh-huh.
The word spelling, like I didn't know that it came from like literally people putting words together to cast spells on people. Like, so to break it down, it's like, I'll say some shit a certain type of way to affect you, right? Like I'll use certain words, you know, and put them in the sentence to make you feel a certain type of way, even though I could have said it this way and made you feel this way. You know, it was super cool. I heard it. It blew my mind, to be honest with you. I was like, spelling.
Can I show you guys something though?
Yes.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, I found it.
Oh!
I found a drawing that, it's a self-portrait of me that says, made in God's image.
Phenomenal.
Can you show the camera, please?
It's okay. We'll put it in there.
Yeah, we'll put it in there. So I just wanted to let you guys know.
It's interesting
amazing.
that it says made in God's image, because my next thing was going to be like, has there been a common theme in your work as far as what you've said, like message wise?
A common message? Well, when I was a musician, I mean, I guess I'm still a musician. I still play music. But in Trainwreck Symphony, you can ask all the members and anybody who actually listened to the music. It was all about heartbreak. Like, I mean, that's like half of music anyway, but it was all like about heartbreak. And I think anything that I've ever written came from that place of like kind of like heartbreak, you know? Mm-hmm. I guess. And that's the same for a lot of artists. Like, even I think Reap was talking about this. He was like, man, I can't write no more because I don't got no more. Right, I don't got any more pain. And I think a lot of musicians suffer from that. Like, they even change lanes completely just because they were like, you know what?
I think the same thing, because I used to like rap when I was in my like early 20s, and a lot of the stuff that I talked about was just like rage things, like things that I either didn't understand or didn't want to understand. And it was like, back then I was incapable of doing something like this where I would just talk it out with somebody. So I would just like write a bunch of shit about it and then just put that out. And I would listen to it back and I'm like, man, that guy is pissed off. Like, and I didn't feel like it was me. It was just like this rage monster that came out. And I was just like, and then after a while I was just like, I don't need to do that, because now I talk my problems out and like deal with them like an adult. Right. And then I lost like the inspiration to do like that lane anymore. I was just like, it felt forced, you know?
Totally.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not gonna ask you that. Should I ask you that?
What?
Like what your rap name was?
No, it was just the same name.
Oh, just tell me.
I went by.
So it wasn't an alter ego. It was just your ego at the time, and you were like, just.
But now I feel better. I think I'm better at just like processing stuff. But that was gonna be another question too. Like, as people who have done other things, have you found yourself like going through something emotionally that makes you transition from one form to another? As far as like you went from music into like more directing and stuff like that. Like, what made you kind of flip that? Like, was there an experience that just made you be like, all right, I'm gonna put this down for now?
Okay, well that's a loaded question. All right, so
we love those. On
right, that's they're going deep. They're going deep. Nobody would really know this unless you asked. But when I was younger, I used to be in front of the camera a whole lot because my grandfather, he had one of those big ass RCA straight to videotape camera rigs, right? Like
big VHS ones.
He had the viewfinder. It was huge. It was awesome. He used to dress us up, right? And like I used to act in front of. I wanted to be Jim Carrey so bad. Like when Jim Carrey was a thing, I was like, let me show you something. You know?
Do these tapes exist still?
Somewhere. To your question, stopping music hasn't really happened. Like I didn't stop. I just had to stop with who I was making music. Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like your passion, because you went from that and then it was like you were directing and then you went to screenwriting and now you're like really focused on acting.
Right.
I feel like that passion and that drives somebody to pursue this like for a living. Yeah. You can really only focus it so much in one area for a while. So there has to be something that makes you kind of like move, like flow to the next thing.
Right. So the thing that actually made me jump ship was, to be honest, like I was doing a lot of music video type stuff with the band, right? Like music actually led me to film. I was making music videos for the band and we were cranking stuff out, and at some point I started to feel slanted. I felt the rest of the members weren't like kind of like sharing this stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it may have been trash. It could have very well been trash. But I was spending like literally half of my waking life outside of being the singer and doing all that stuff in like keeping these 4 other individuals in my mind like all day, you know what I'm saying? Because like I'm writing the stuff, I'm directing it, and then I'm editing the stuff. I'm staring at these guys all day, thinking about them all day, and I just felt like it wasn't being reciprocated. So I felt like I had to leave. I was like, yo, I'll give it another year. And by the time I knew it, it was like I was DJing in a bar. I was feeling, I don't know, I was anxious. I felt like I needed to jump ship because I was like, I'm not getting it here. I'm looking at this thing that I really want, and I'm like, if I just put all that effort into me, into making myself like as dope as I can be, then my cup runneth over. Then I could pour into other people. But at the time, it just wasn't. I don't know.
Your energy wasn't being matched.
It wasn't.
Right?
It really wasn't.
So that's draining if it's all just give, right. And you're not getting anything back.
I was getting something from them, like, because I can't throw them out there like that, because at the same time they only asked me to be their singer.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? So I was overextending myself
for me,
like right, like
yeah.
I was being very like, I don't know. I guess it was selfish. I was giving Freud. I think it was Freud that said this, by the way. He's like, anytime you do something for somebody else, it's always selfish, because at the end of the day, you're gonna feel good by doing that good thing for somebody else. So it's like, it's always like, you selfish son of a.
What would you say is the most drastic move you've made for like your career wise?
Jumping out to LA. Yo, I was 31 years old. Like, what the band thing had just happened. Like, I was like, I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took 3 months, but then I jumped out to LA. Like, I dropped everybody out there, everything, you know, in pursuit of the shit. And then I got here, and then Cali ate me up. Like, it is ruthless.
What do you guys think LA does to your like self-esteem or like your psyche as far as what you set out to do when you get here? Because you've been here for like longer than both of us put together. Like, do you think from the time that you got here, if you can remember like who that angel was to this angel now, like what do you think LA like morphed you into from back then?
I think it's crazy because I feel like I was very fearless when I moved out here. I mean,
Agreed.
I was 23, just graduated, and had never been to LA before, never visited, had no job, had no place to live, and only had $2,000 and everything that I had in my car. And so the thought of doing that now, like, terrifies me for sure, because I know too much. It's like I know too much about this place and what it can do to you. But I will say the one thing is that it just made me stronger. Like, I feel like I could take on like anything now, you know, because and that's not like my journey in LA, like, don't get it twisted, it wasn't like this at all. I was thinking about moving out of this place multiple times within that 10-year mark. You know, I think.
So what do you think that it did to that younger fearless angel to, like, not that you're not fearless now, but I think you're a lot less reckless probably. So like, what do you think it is about this place that like
I think I needed that. I think I needed that. I just needed to go. You know, if I was gonna do it and jump ship, you need to just jump ship. Mm-hmm. And then when I got here and I was like, you know, by the time we signed our lease, I was pretty much broke. I had no job, nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then as time progressed and I saw, I don't know, I have so much to say. It's been 10 years, you know what I mean? Like, a lot has changed for me, just even personally. Like, I didn't come out of the closet until I moved to LA. There was a lot of things that happened for me. I think LA can very much so quickly be like your mirror, 100%.
Ooh.
I think that you can easily see the type of, you know, like, you'll realize like who you are, like whether you like it or not, and not at your convenient time.
Wow. So
Like,
with that, what do you think?
Shit.
Because you came here and then you moved back out of here.
Right. So I moved out here for a year and some change, maybe like a year and a half, maybe closer to 2 years. Yo, as soon as I got here, I realized like it's a bunch of sharks. Like there's f***ing sharks everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
Facts.
there like the expression is like they say be the big fish in a small pond, right? So this way you can make it, right? But like they're all out here because the dream's out here, and I think that as soon as you get here, you look around and you're like, damn, everybody's dope.
Yeah.
Literally so many people like what that analogy with the the big fish in a small anybody in LA will literally say the same thing that moved from another spot because this place is real humbling. Like you were saying, like you could be the from where you're from. Like literally the dopest of all dope. And then you come out here and you start meeting people and you're like, oh my God, this person's way better. That person's really good too. And are we all going for this?
Yeah.
The same thing. And so it's, like I said, it's a real humbling thing, but it's also a place that can easily transform you into something that you aren't. So I think that it's important for you to kind of know, like, at the core, who you are before you come here. Because you can get caught up in a lot of that because that's real. You 100% can get really lost.
Real fast.
Really fast. And it's so important to just, when you find people that are true and real and that really have your back, I think that's very important thing to keep around you and stuff.
You definitely got to gravitate towards those people.
So I remember like when you moved here, like I met up with you like pretty soon after that.
Right, like real quick.
And this dude was like, I moved here with my girl. We've been together for like 4 months.
3 months.
Oh. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to last. And he was like, damn, really? It's like that? And I was like, no, you moved out here with a motorcycle. You're like the hot Spanish Latin guy. And you do like cool
Exposed.
You're not. That's not going to work.
But we are still together. It's long
and I'm very
distance.
Impressed. What's up, Ashley?
What's up, baby?
What happened? Like, how did that affect your relationship as far as coming out here? What was your game plan when you got here?
Yo, okay, so this is how it happened. Like, I met my beautiful girlfriend, Ashley, 3 months before. Like, I knew of her. I knew she existed because we used to work at the same bar. I was doing some DJing. I was DJing at the time, and she was bartending, and I used to always see her, and she's very cute. And I was like, okay, so I knew of her. I play a show one day. She's there, and she starts talking to me on the interwebs, And I'm like, I think she might like me. So I, did that thing. But I told her, I was like, yo, I'm leaving to California, right? 3 months go by. Then it's January 1st. I'm about to leave for California. I was literally out here January 25th. I asked her on New Year's to be my girlfriend with no plan whatsoever. Like, I had no idea how this was gonna pan out, yo.
A rockstar life.
Rockstar life. I'm like, be my girlfriend. And then we'll figure it out later. Right? So I moved out here. I came out here first. Then she followed me out like a month later, right? I'm 31 years old. Like, everything was so heavy at the time because like I had just left the band. I'm literally leaving my family behind in Chicago. Like, I'm pulling off all of my bandages. Like, I'm shedding weight left and right? But I came out here and we started trying. To answer your exact question, how did it affect our relationship? Man, I was so stressed out about like leaving everything behind. I needed something because like I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be the singer of this band anymore. I'm coming out here for film. So I was zeroing in, but I knew nobody except for Tone. And then I had just met Angel, and it was just like, she felt the weight on my shoulders. Like I was literally racking my brain left and right every day. And I start writing a short film. I'm sitting in the corner, seeing a ton of homeless people. I'm taking all of LA in for the first time, like shedding all that weight, writing the psychological thriller. I was literally driving myself mad. Like, I don't know if you felt it, but Tone, man, that was the darkest time of my life, moving to LA. It's a miracle that me and my girlfriend are still together. You know what I'm saying? Because like, it was just like, it was so stressful, yo. So stressful. And like, cause it took me about 8 months, I want to say, to write that short. Like, I don't know if you knew that. I was in there racking my brain for about 8 months, literally studying psychopaths and like trying to figure out how they operated, how they moved, like what insanity kind of looked like for different people. Like I was a psychopath up here a little bit.
What was the moment that you decided to leave?
I called my cousins who lived out in Atlanta. I was like, yo, I'm doing this thing. Like we just had a long conversation about I'm doing this thing. Like I jumped ship. I'm over here in LA trying to kill it. I'm not finding any paychecks, but I'm out here doing the thing. Told him everything, and he offered me a gig. And then he was like, well, you got to be here in 2 weeks. And it was just like, are you serious? And like me and my girl, we were kind of like on the rocks during that time because the stress of everything. Yeah. Like, and I was taking it out on her. I really was. Like she got the end of that stick so bad. Like, and she's an angel for dealing with me.
I think for all successful artists of any like level, there has to be a certain amount of delusion for them to really like think that they can do whatever it is that they do.
Right.
And I think some people are good, some people are like medium, some people are whack, but they all have to have like this belief in themselves that they can do whatever it is. And so I was like, is there ever a moment where you look around you or your path or whatever and you think like, should I still be trying to do this, or should I just like go get a day job?
I would think that one of my superpowers, honestly, is being fearless. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm never afraid to look like an asshole. I have never been afraid to try something on, trying a new hat, despite what anybody thinks of me, because I'm like, yo, what if that thing works, right?
Yeah.
What was the question?
Is there ever a time where you're like, I should
quit.
stop?
Yeah. Like, that's why, like, I kind of stepped away from that music. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like I needed to deviate. It didn't take me to look at the music or listen to the music and be like, oh man, this kind of sucks, I should stop doing that. I've never done that. It's either, if I've ever dabbled in it, I'll probably still dabble in it, but I don't think I've ever ran away from like an art in that way. Like, I don't think so.
Sometimes I get in these modes where I don't think I'm as good as I think I am. And I think it is that whole like LA humbling thing where you're just like, man, I don't know. And I feel it less now, but I also feel like a lot of like the gas that I get is just from working with you, because you have like infinity amount of confidence. And so that's why, I keep you around. But because people have asked me like, what would you do? Like, what else would you do? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, what drives me is I feel like I'm just backed in a corner. Like, I just fight because I'm like, I don't know what else I would do, So what drives me now at this point is like, I do think I'm tight, and I'm willing to like bet on that over anything else, because I'm like, I don't have nothing else to bet on. Like, I'd better be tight and just get better, because like, what else is there?
I've never ran away from any of those things. I think because I've worked some of the jobs ever. I've cleaned toilets, like disgusting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I worked at the airport cleaning toilets, right? You know how many wieners and asses have graced those toilets? I say graced to make it sound nice because it's spelling. I'm saying, like, I've had really jobs, so like, for me to run away from this thing that might make my life like not just better, but like way dope, like it doesn't compute to me. I don't think that way. I don't think like I should ever stop trying, for art's sake. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what's your poetic take on that? I know you got a lot.
You got something.
She's over there cooking it up.
Nah, I think I'm gonna never stop. And that's just real. Like, you can knock me down 1,000,000 times, and I don't think I would ever stop. And I think that is really driven just by purpose. And I think like realizing my purpose is what drives my art. All the steps that I've taken is so that I can actually tell the stories that I want to tell. However long that's going to take me to do that, I'm going to keep going. Like, a lot of the business stuff that that Tony and I have built, like what we're doing for money, that's all just a piece of the puzzle. But the main drive is purpose and storytelling, and interjecting like what what I have to say about the world, about different issues. So we're all from the Midwest, right? So it's one of those things, a lot of our peers back home are maybe married, they have kids, they own houses, like all of that. And none of us here do.
Right.
And that can mess with your psyche, I feel like, if those are the only people that you like have around you. You know what I mean? But for me personally, I'll say like just being around here and seeing that life and seeing what other people are doing, I'm just like, I don't need to measure up to anybody but the purpose that I set for myself.
Right.
Nothing else. So.
Bars. And I thought I asked bars.
I think that, man, like you unloaded a whole lot there with that. Like, man, when I first came out to LA, like.
But see, I don't even know you for that long, but I can feel that from you. You know, like where he's just not a quitter.
Nah.
And I can see it. Like life can chop at you all at once, but you're driven.
And
we were out last night. I saw it in him going out there. It takes a certain somebody to do that.
Word.
That's
a big ass compliment. Thank you.
I got you.
to piggyback that, man, like I saw all the mansions. You know what I'm saying? I was riding down Sunset, and this is me seeing that stuff for the first time. When I first came out here, I bought a motorcycle, decided to ride it around, and just that alone blew my own mind. Honestly, because like I never owned a motorcycle. I said, you know what? I'm gonna move to California, buy a motorcycle, and I fucking did it, right? And then I was like, what else can I fucking do? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got these mansions, like all these people are filthy rich. They got these big ass cribs, and it's like, bro, they probably did something like we're doing right now.
At
like what you guys are doing. Like they made a television show because they were like, I want to make a television show. You know what I'm saying? It's like it takes you just deciding to go and do some shit. And it's like when I saw all those mansions down Sunset, looking at all the people that look pretty much like me, I was like, yo,
why not me?
Like you start putting one foot in front of the other at that point. Like then, man, dangerous.
That's kind of what it boils down to. Like if you put that energy out there, like I'm the no, I'm just kidding. But like I can do it, I can do this, like it'll start happening for you.
So in your journey, I'm gonna end this with bringing us to your current destination. You have decided to start pursuing acting since you've been in Atlanta, and where has it gotten you?
In Atlanta, the way that it happened. So this is gonna trip you out. I'm in Chicago at the time. I was there for an audition. I was auditioning for Chicago PD, and my agent calls me like maybe a couple hours later. She's like, "Yo, you booked." I was like, "What? I booked Chicago PD?" I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna tell my mom because she watches the show." I was like, "Yo, this is exciting." My agent, she calls me back and she's like, "No, you didn't book that. You booked that Hunter's Point thing." I was like, "Oh." She was like, no, don't trip. It's still a Sony film. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Somebody called me from costume saying, yo, this is blah, blah, blah from Jumanji. Congratulations. I was like, who is this lady calling me like, with her biggest credit being like, I'm big shit calling you. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, lady. So I'm like, yeah, I'll be there for the thing. So I pull up to Black Hall Studios. They give me a pass, a security pass. I read it. It's like Javier, blah, blah, blah. Sony Pictures, Jumanji 2. I'm like, what is happening, dude? What is happening? Go into the costume room and The Rock is on the wall, Jack Black is on the wall, Kevin Hart, and I'm like, what the? I call my agent and I'm like, yo, I booked Jumanji. It was Jumanji. It's not Hunter's Point. She's like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, yes, and it blew my mind. Yeah, so I'm gonna be in Jumanji too, man. And that's how it happened. Isn't that wild?
And are you just like an extra in it?
No,
yeah, how does that work?
I have a speaking role. There's one line in there. I'm not gonna ruin it for you guys because it'll ruin the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was able to act across from literally my hero. Like I wear his sneakers. I'm in the gym. I'm like, man, I wonder if I could be The Rock one day. I'm lifting like 20s. I'm like, I'm doing this shit. Like, come on. But for him to be there, like at one point, I was like, I fed him my line, and he's like, that was pretty good.
Done.
I'm palpitating thinking about it. Like, so at one point he's walking this way, everybody's over here. I'm like, this is my moment. Like he's walking, he's talking to one person. I'm like, I'm gonna say something. And I didn't. I put my hand out. I didn't even look him in the eyes. I was like this. Right? And he was like, what's up, buddy? And he daps me and he walks away. And I was like, I'm his buddy. He called me The Rock, dude. He called me buddy. I was like, my mind was blown, dude. Blown. Like,
that's amazing.
So like that happening for me really opened my mind. I was like, yo, game time. Now I'm asking for bigger and more bodacious goals. Like I literally
gassed you up.
It gassed me up.
Full tank.
Right? So like I have a to-do list or like a should-do list, a can-do list, like wants and all that stuff. And I saw one there on the table and it said book a role in a major motion picture. And I scratched it off, dude. I scratched that thing off and then I had to rewrite that and say, land a bigger role in a major motion picture. Hey. And it's on the same list. And now I'm like, yo, game time.
It's game time. I think that's a fantastic way to end this story or this episode. Just keep going, I guess, is the answer to the question.
Never quit. Never stop.
Ask the universe for shit.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to try shit. Look stupid or else you're never going to learn a new thing.
And also like.
Yeah. Comment. Subscribe. Out here doing it big. Thank you, Kona. Looking forward to seeing this fool in Jumanji 2.
I can't wait. That's going to be amazing.
The next level. Oh, shit. It's called Jumanji 2, the next level.
Oh, shit.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? Level up. Level up.
Say all this stuff?
Level up. When are you guys going to put this out?
Next week.
Yeah, I think I am allowed to say it at least.
Exclusive.
Yeah, so the world doesn't even know the shit that I just told them. So like this is like world premiere type shit.
All right.
Peace, guys. Thanks for having me.